In the previous video, I discussed how the clause is going to be subject and predicate, and how the predicate is going to indicate an historic happening that has a truth value. And the happening is always going to have the thing that is related to, okay? And that will help you identify the subject. So if you're able to look at the collection of words that is in front of you, again, clausal grammar, which I think is the best grammar to really try to get a hold of if you're trying to learn the language, the words, the concepts that will allow you to very profitably teach yourself a foreign language. Um, it's got to be clausal grammar in my mind, and as the way to go. And so, we're talking about the clause, we're talking about subject predicate. Um, the predicate's always going to have a main verb, and the last video talked about finding that main verb. It's going to be the word that moves the happening through time, potentially. Of course, since it is there written in a certain version, it's going to probably lock itself into one of those aspects of time. But you can imagine rewording it, or just you can imagine what it would be like to move through time. Let me give you an example, okay? Let's say this room is hot. It is it is a bit hot. I can move that through time by saying the room was hot, the room is hot, the room will be hot. Simple, very simple 1 point movement. What I'm saying is that we're just talking about 1 point in time here. The past point. The room was hot yesterday or 5 minutes ago. The room is hot now. Um, the room will be hot. That could be the future version of this. So notice that the clause there is the room is. Now, we'll get to hot in a little bit, right? Because really, it's just the room is. That's moving through time. The room was, the room is, the room will be. Because if you isolate the word that's moving through time, that's your main verb. Was, is, will be. You can simply then ask who or what verb. Okay, and you should think in terms of two blanks, and underneath, the blank that of the word that's moving through time, that's your verb. You can just label that verb. Then under the other blank, just put the question who or what. And you have to supply the answer strictly by the words that are given to you. Okay. Is, who or what is the room? That's your subject, and is your verb. Now the rest of it that goes together as a connected group would be the clause. The room is hot. Okay, we'll talk about hot later. What exactly is that word? But let's do another one. John mowed the grass. Okay, so that's past tense. How would we say that present tense? John mows the grass. How would we say it future tense? John will mow. So the word mow is your main verb here, right? That's how you start teasing out the clause, because you find the main verb. That's always going to be the heart of the predicate, the seed, if you will, the heartbeat, the center of the predicate. Then you simply ask who or what mode, okay? And it's John, okay? So that's your subject. You can call it a noun if you want to, but sometimes it gets that language gets a little weak. Let's just always call it the subject, okay? So there's your subject, your verb, and your subject, okay? And that's your simple clause, the pure clause, right there. Now you can add stuff. My brother John mowed the neighbor's lawn. You see all the extra stuff I added? That's still connected to that simple clause. John mowed, okay? Now, once you find that word that's moving through time, that can potentially move through time, take that whole collection of words, its meaning, and move it through time. That's your verb, and then you simply use the formula who or what verb. Okay. Do not use the formula who or what does the verb. That's not it. That's going to fall apart 50% of the time, or often. Okay. For example, let me give you an illustration. The car was fixed by the mechanic. Okay? The car was fixed by the mechanic. How would we say, let's move it through time. The car was fixed by the mechanic. That's actually past tense, right? The car is fixed by the mechanic, present tense. The car will be fixed by the mechanic, future tense. So was, is, will be. That's your verb. Now we can throw fix in there too if you want to, because that kind of makes sense, right? But uh, who or what, right? Now the next thing is, well, what's the subject? If that's the main verb, what's its subject? And then you need to ask who or what is fixed or was fixed. Do not ask who or what does the fixing, because at that point the mechanic does the fixing, right? You got to take the verb exactly how it's given to you in those words that are in front of you that you're trying to analyze. And was fixed, who or what was fixed? The car. That's the subject, all right? So the simple clause here is the car was fixed, okay? Now notice that the subject in this case does not do the verb, right? The car was fixed. The car didn't do the fixing. So we call this passive tense. We'll talk about this later perhaps, but I throw that in there just to say you cannot find the verb and then say, well, I'm going to find the subject now, so I'm going to just ask who or what does the verb. That's not right. Every time you have a passive case clause in front of you, you're going to miss the answer. So it's very crucial that once you find the verb, you use it in its exact form, and you simply ask who or what verb in the form that you have it. Okay, who or what mode, John mode. Who or what was fixed, the car was fixed, not the mechanic. So in this case, the car is the subject, was fixed as the verb, the main verb, and that's your clause. It's got its subject and its predicate. Notice for each one of these examples, right, I'm giving you something that can be moved through time, something that has a subject, and the subject has information given to it by that collection of words. That's your predicate, and it's a historic happening. You can determine its truth value as potentially true or false. So those are the things that every clause is going to have. It's going to have a main verb. The verb is going to have its subject. That verb is going to demonstrate its ability to move the meaning of the clause to provide time versions, the present version, the past version, the future version of that clause. And you'll always be able to, for every clause, to say, is it potentially true or false?